The next guest we have on stage here on Expert Stage is Daryl Willcox. He's founder of ResponseSource. And what ResponseSource is, he will tell himself.
Thank you very much. I just want to say that was a really fantastic presentation from Dragana. And I think it reminded me that I think we have a tendency in the Western world and Western Europe to take the freedom of our media for granted a little bit. Anyway, my name is Daryl Willcox. I'm from ResponseSource. I'm going to be talking to you about how we turned PR on its head and why British journalists love us for doing that. I'm going to be doing this in English. As you can tell, I'm an English guy. Actually, I should know a little bit more German because my mother-in-law is German. Therefore, my wife is half German. My 3 kids are all a quarter German, so I've got strong links with Germany. So next year, hopefully, when I come to Rock the Blog next year, Rock the Blog 17, I'll try and learn a few more words. Before I talk about ResponseSource, I want to just have a little chat about my journey yesterday. I drove all the way from southeast England yesterday, some crazy Englishman in a little orange Mini. Having decided to drive, I thought, well, I might as well make a bit of an adventure of it. So I got my little Mini, which is actually 14 years old, I have to point out, done in the company colours. And I have to say, that was the most exhausting thing I've done for a long time. In fact, it was more tiring than when I climbed Mont Blanc in 2014. Anyway, another point, actually, of my journey. It went very well, but as I came into Hanover, I decided to fill up with petrol, and then realised that the petrol station only took cash. I didn't have any cash on me, but there was a lovely man from Hanover who drove me around to find a cash machine so I could pay for my petrol. So what a lovely welcome to Hanover I had yesterday. Anyway, let's talk about ResponseSource. So I just want to get a little bit of a feel for the audience here today. So how many of you guys out here are bloggers? You can just put your hand up. Okay, about half, I guess. So how many of you guys are sort of PR marketing type people? Yeah, and I noticed that some people are putting a hand up again. Okay, that's excellent. And how many of you guys are journalists? Okay, that's great. It's probably about a quarter, maybe a third journalist. Okay. So I'm going to aim this chat at bloggers and journalists primarily, but I hope you guys in the PR and marketing world will understand how ResponseSource can help you too. This clock says 26:46, but I thought I had 15 minutes. Might have to stretch it out. Okay, so why ResponseSource? What is the problem that we are trying to resolve? Well, so how many of you guys out there have had this situation? I expect the journalists among you will have experienced just too much information, yeah? I would imagine today journalists walking around the CeBIT conference being completely bombarded with information, press releases, content and material, but it not really necessarily being relevant to them. So that's a big challenge, particularly for journalists, and I'm sure some bloggers too. Of course, we have the other extreme as well. So there are those situations that you get into where, I'm sure you've all experienced this, where you've got a great idea for a blog post, but you just don't have the relevant information to put it together, and you're not really sure where to start. So these are the two extreme situations that bloggers, journalists, content creators in general find themselves in. So back in 1998, would you believe, we launched ResponseSource in the UK to try and resolve this problem, and we introduced the service into Germany a few years ago. And I'm very proud to be here today to help promote it. And what we try to do is try and resolve this problem. And this is the crux of the problem. I hope I'm not upsetting the PR people in the audience today. You guys don't have a crystal ball. You don't actually know what's going in the minds of bloggers and journalists. But fundamentally, PR people do not know what you want. Even if you're listed in a media database, or you've got lots of information on your blog in your About section describing the sort of things you like to write about, PR people don't actually know what you plan to write about tomorrow. what you're actually thinking of putting on your blog, what you're working on now. And that's the fundamental challenge. So we at ResponseSource try and resolve that problem for you by allowing you to communicate what it is that you're working on, what you're writing about, what you're planning to write about, to the PR community relatively easily. And bingo. And this is why British journalists love us, because we actually succeed in helping them to do that. So how does it work? Oh, look, it's a web form. It's not particularly high-tech, but this does work. The website is fully responsive, so it works on phones and tablets. But it's a simple form that you can fill in to request information to tell the PR community what you're looking for. Now, actually, although it's just a form, it's actually been very carefully thought out and structured so that it works for you guys and it works for the PR community too. Now, I'm an ex-journalist. A lot of the people that have worked with me over the years are ex-journalists, are media people. So we try and make these things work for media people. And so that's not the whole form that you're looking at now. It's a little bit more sophisticated than that, but it's not too difficult to fill in. And one crucial point here, which is very important, one downside, obviously, to sending requests out to thousands of people is that you could potentially be giving your email address out to a lot of people who then might add that to databases, and then you just get bombarded with irrelevant material again. What we do is we actually protect your email address with a temporary email address which will expire when your deadline expires. So if you put a request in saying, I'm looking for information about the Rock the Blog conference next year, and I want a spokesman or any people that have attended the conference to speak to me, my article deadline is next Thursday at 10 o'clock in the morning. You put that deadline in. As soon as that deadline passes, no one can then respond to that inquiry. So you can only get information prior to the expiry date that you put in. So that's a really important element of the service. And then that request goes out to the PR community. And that's where sort of we stand back and we allow the wonderful PR people to read your request, interpret it, and get back to you directly with, hopefully, relevant and useful information. Now, I think we might have a few people in the audience today who've used ResponseSource before, and I hope they've had a great experience. Anyone want to confess to having used ResponseSource before? Yes, we've got one over there. That's fantastic. One will do. And two, brilliant. So I hope you got useful information. You don't always get exactly what you want. You might get something that is a bit left field, but remember with the PR community, you don't have to use it. You can just press the delete button or file it away for another time. But it does really work. It can be really effective. And the fantastic thing about ResponseSource is it puts you back in the driving seat. So instead of just being bombarded by material from the PR community, the tables are turned and you're able to take control of the situation and start to say to the PR community, actually, this is the sort of information I'm looking for, this is what I need, this is when I need it, and this is how I would like it. So that's the sort of fantastic thing about ResponseSource, how it can really help you do your jobs. Now, it can be used for all sorts of different types of requests. This is just a list of the types we categorize the inquiries by. So, you could be looking for a spokesperson, you could be looking for data. It's a really great way if you're looking for images or video for your blog, or even, review products, that kind of thing, and more. And another great thing about it is it starts to help build up your network. Now, we've been going in the UK for a while, so I thought I'd just give you a little bit of a picture about where we are in the UK. We're actually getting around 120 requests from journalists and bloggers every single day. We're processing around 15 million emails to PR people every year. That's a very, very well-established service in the UK, but that's to give you an idea about the sort of volumes that we're dealing with. And it's still going up after 18 years. Now, obviously, this is a blogger event, and there's lots of you guys out in the audience today who are bloggers. So I wanted to put a little bit of context in here. Now, in the UK, 8% of all the inquiries that we get are from bloggers. Now, that doesn't sound like a huge number, but it's pretty significant, and that's actually doubled in the last few years. While I'm on this subject, I thought I'd give you a bit of a tip. Blogs and the world of blogging and the PR community, that's an interesting sort of area at the moment, because a lot of PRs really understand the value of blogs, but a lot of PRs are quite skeptical. Now, what really, really helps if you're looking for information and you want to get a really good response is to make it really, really clear to the PR community, what is the value of your blog? What is your audience? How many of them are there? What sort of things are they interested in? And in many ways as you can, to try and give, quantifiable evidence of who your audience is. So things like, how many unique users do you get on your blog? How many followers have you got on social media? And have you done any research to identify what sort of people they are? So in your request, when you put your request up there, just put a few of these facts and figures in there, and that really, really helps the community, companies and PR agencies and in-house PR officers to assess the value of your blog and to decide, actually, this is a small blog, but they've got a really good community, so I'm going to help them out, I'm going to give them relevant information. So that's a really important tip for bloggers for using ResponseSource. So thank you very much for your time today. It's been really great having the opportunity to talk to you, and I hope that you give ResponseSource a try, and I'm really looking forward to coming back and developing our community more in the future. Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you very much. And actually, we still have time for one or two questions. So does anyone have a question? Just raise your hands.
No, I did such a great job.
Oh, yeah.
No one's got any questions.
Yeah, well, I got one.
Does it work the other way around too? So I'm a PR and I want to get in touch with bloggers and
good question.
How can I do that?
Good question. No is a simple answer. In the UK, we do allow PRs to put requests out, but those requests are going to other PRs. So that's not really very helpful, because what you're talking about is basically reaching bloggers. So no, it doesn't work that way around. This whole service is all about empowering bloggers and journalists rather than the other way around. So what I would do is in the UK we have a few services out there which are blogger databases, and a lot of those are sort of user generated, and the blogs actually the bloggers keep the data updated themselves. They're quite useful for that kind of thing. I'm sure there's a local equivalent. Yeah.
So, any more questions? Oh, over there.
Yeah, one over here.
I understood that your service is free for journalists. So where do you get your money from?
Okay, really good question. Yeah, what's the business model? Okay, it's completely free for journalists and bloggers to submit requests, and that's exactly the same business model we have in the UK. Currently in Germany, the service is also free for PR people. At some point in the future, we will switch to a paid model so that PRs will pay an annual subscription. At the moment, we're building the community, and we're just totally 100% committed to doing that at the moment.
Okay, thank you very much. Warm
applause. Thank you very much. Thank you.